difficult to patch in the White House, isn't it?
That's
They're,
who.
they're on their own schedule.
And so with that, Coach, we are going to get going. I believe our first question here is going to go to Rick Henry.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good, Rick. How are you?
No, I'm doing great, and congratulations on a great career. And I was just wondering, you made it public some time ago that this would be your final year. Does it make it any easier now as you're getting near the end? Is it going to make it any easier for you to walk off that field for the first time since you've known it's coming, or just how do you see that going?
That's a very good question, Rick. You know, the fact that there's been a little bit of time to work through it has certainly been good. But I still think walking off that field for the last time is going to be difficult. I don't think any amount of lead up time is going to make it a whole lot easier, but it does give you some time to process. And, it's been such a strange year. Absolutely everything has been weird. And so when you kind of throw all that together, it'll be tough to walk off the field, but it's one of those things.
Next up, we're going to go to Ben.
Hey, Coach Berson, as you kind of get to this point, do you look back at all and kind of reflect on sort of the magnitude of the career you've had and the program you've built at the University of South Carolina?
Well, it happens because people, bring things up, I mean, obviously over time, really it's the players and what they accomplish in their lives as men, what they've accomplished on the field over the years, the things we've been able to do as a team. I mean, so from that aspect, you're continually reminded of things, and it's a great thing. I mean, I think there's just a lot of things that I think the guys in this program through the years, I mean, it really belongs to them. It doesn't belong to me. They're the one continuing rolling resource, and I think, one of the things that I've spoken about before is I think we had 17 different American colleges and universities that have been headed up as a head coach by one of our former players or assistant coaches, and 10 of them are Division I. So, I'm really proud of that. And obviously the classmates of all those guys are proud of that, or the players that were coached here are proud of that. We have one coach in the MLS now, so that'll be exciting to watch. And yeah, I mean, to have a guy make the cover of Sports Illustrated with the title America's Best is like a pretty wonderful thing for the players in this program through the years.
We'll go to Mike.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the retirement, I guess, by next week, right? You're still employed at this point, but as of next week. Just wondering, was there a specific moment that sort of you knew it was time to retire, or was this more of just a kind of a long, drawn-out sort of decision for you? And then do you have any plans in retirement?
Yeah. Well, good questions, both. First of all, you kind of end up in a decision. A lot of things go into it. It really wasn't any one specific point or specific thing. I think from a future standpoint, we're just going to kind of see what happens. You never know what opportunities are going to be there. And so we'll just kind of see. I mean, I don't foresee me not being involved in the game. I've always worked with U.S. Soccer, teaching with the national coaching staff and the coaching schools. I probably would consider, continue to do that. There may be some things, in other areas of coaching that I might want to get into, and we'll just kind of see what happens. You never know.
About off the field?
Off the field, Lake Murray, the striped bass better look out. They need to look out because it's some really tough times are coming for them.
Let's go to Forrest.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're doing well today. I really like to express my gratitude for the fact that I'm able to commentate for your side this this year, excuse me. It's been a huge pleasure. Mentioning going forward with possibly U.S. soccer and just trying to stay in the game coaching wise, what do you see as the state of soccer in this country at the moment? Anything on your mind in that regard right now?
Yeah, it's a good point. State of the soccer in this country's never been stronger. I mean, it's unbelievable. Let's start from the top down. Look at the MLS, look at the expansion, look at the attendances, look at the crowd, the tremendous fan support. From the top down, fantastic. Look at the number of our players right now that are playing in the Champions League. Now that was unheard of even 10 years ago. We've got top players playing in top clubs around the world, not just guys kind of getting on the field and whatever, but big contributing players on top clubs around the world. And that's a product of the development process of U.S. soccer, and it's kind of a mathematical thing. We have so many kids playing in this country that out of that group come good players. And so I think the health of this game, just look at our attendances at the University of South Carolina. I mean, we're always in the top 10 in the country, always, in terms of our men's soccer attendance. And it's great to see. It's never been a better time to be associated with the game. And I hope you enjoy a long association with your broadcasting with it.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that.
Oh, sorry, Forrest. Let's go to Ben.
Hey, Coach Berson, as you kind of look back sort of on a career, do you feel like your career sort of broke down into, I guess, eras and stages? Because obviously you've seen so much soccer, so much of this program, rises, tough times, bounce backs, all that kind of stuff. How do you kind of break down a career, and how do you look at sort of your growth as a person going through, all those steps from your, mid-20s to now?
Time do you have? I mean, 43 years and 2 years at the Citadel. I mean, that's nearly half a decade. So, it wasn't exactly like, Lincoln was president, but it was pretty close to it. I think you obviously you grow as a person throughout your life. And the thing that's been great for me is that the game has always been a constant. Teaching is what I love. Teaching and coaching is what I love. And so that keeps you engaged every day. So it's a very unique process when you're really fortunate to be a teacher in the classroom or to be a coach on the field, where every day when you come to work, you're excited about coming to work and doing it. And every day is new. Every day is fresh. And so from that standpoint, it's kind of stayed fresh the entire time. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes within collegiate athletics. There's been a lot of changes within, the forces within collegiate athletics, and there's even more on the horizon. So, those things affect maybe the things that happen within the athletic department at South Carolina. But, the support from Ray Tanner has always been really, really good. Those are the kind of things that change. Going out every day, teaching, coaching, that's remained constant the entire time. And that's what makes it fun.
All right, let's go to John Whittle.
Hey, Mark, first of all, congratulations on your career at South Carolina and all the success that you've had over the years. Just when people reflect on your career, what's kind of the main thing that you want people to remember about your time at South Carolina?
Well, I think that this is a guy that came to work every day and gave his best to his players and to the university. You can't sometimes do anything about what happens in the result. I mean, the ball hits the crossbar and goes in, you're through to the next round. The same ball hit by the same player, seriously, a millimeter off, hits the crossbar and bounces out, and you're done for the year. So while a lot of times success is measured in wins and losses, and that's understood, that's given. I think what I would want to that people in the community that have been to our camps for years and players would say, that guy was a good teacher. He did the right thing by the community, by his players, and he helped to develop the game.
Coach, along those lines, for 43 years now, you guys have been producing great soccer players, but you've produced doctors and lawyers. You've produced a rock star. What has been the secret to success you've had so many players over the years have academic success and, more importantly, find success once they leave soccer? What has been the secret to that success?
Well, I think the first thing is the group that they're in. Almost every educational study will tell you it's the group that your child is in that really dictates a lot of their growth and the way they develop. And I think that we've been fortunate here over the years to have really, really good quality people in our program. And we've had guys with, I've given this spiel a million times in recruiting, but North Carolina law, Wisconsin law, Colorado law, the Wharton School of Finance at University of Pennsylvania, London School of Economics, Dental College of Georgia, Medical University of South Carolina, Stanford Medical School. I mean, we have a rock star, and from the Citadel, I have a sitting university president. So, Mark Berson doesn't take credit for that. I mean, that's the quality of the guys that the University of South Carolina, and before that, the Citadel, are able to recruit and develop and have an opportunity for them to grow into the people that they become. And so, for me, actually, I get to facilitate it, right? But I just get to enjoy it. I'm the one that gets to have all these years of looking back at it, but it's really the universities that have done that.
Let's go to Forrest.
Coach, I spoke to Jimmy Marr a couple months ago for an article about you, but as told by your players. And he said that at every restaurant you all would go to on any away trip, you made sure that the team's salads were at the table when they arrived. Do you still do that? And what was the reason for doing that for your team?
Well, one of the things that we always talk about is being on time, ready, and focused. And that's critically important. So we always try to make sure that everything we do for them is in that dimension. Now, it doesn't always work that way, but they know that we're trying. And if things aren't right, they're going to be going, coach is not going to like this. So, they know then that the expectation for them is to be on time, ready, and focused. And we still adhere to those principles. My two assistant coaches right now, Tyler Kettering and Justin Cook, are spot on with that every day, everything they do.
Ben?
Coach, what do you kind of remember about the first team you had at South Carolina, building that team sort of after getting hired from the Citadel? And I had also read somewhere that a number of your guys from the club team had actually played you the year before and maybe beat you. Is that correct?
Yeah, the club was here and functioning, and they had a really, really good club team. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm sure the groundswell of sport that eventually developed into the impetus to have a varsity came from a lot of those players, and Coach Carlin then embraced that, and took it into being a varsity. And I was, the person that was able to come here right away and become the head coach. Now that was a little bit scary. All right. Because now all of a sudden you come in, I was 25 and I got the job in March, and we had no field, no uniforms, no balls, no schedule, and no players. And we were opening on September 1. So I immediately, just took off on the recruiting trail and we were fortunate to bring in a tremendous group of guys, a number of junior college players. And I really owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to them because, I mean, they came here taking a complete chance. I mean, we had, all we could do was sell the promise of what we thought would be great. And that first year, that group went 13-3, and we should have gone to the NCAA tournament. And the NCAA, guys on the committee basically came back and said, yeah, you guys should have been in, but we just didn't know enough about you. Now, this is before the the connectivity of now, everything was like by phone. And the second year, I think we were 16-5 and went to the NCAA tournament. And, it was built on some guys from the club who played for us on the varsity, and this new group of players that took a tremendous risk to come in here and be part of this program. And, I will always remember those guys, obviously the first ones, but especially for what they did, the risk that they took, it was pretty great.
Let's go back to Rick.
Mark, after starting with no field, no players, no uniforms, no ball, things had to get easier after that. But I was just wondering, over all the years, what are some of the things that have made your job easier, and what are some of the things that have made it a little more challenging?
Yeah. Well, having Rick Henry in the goal for a double dog dare was one of the easier ones. You don't even remember that, do you? But that was way back.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. I was totally embarrassed. I may have to pull that one out.
That was fun. I think, honestly, not that much has changed. There's things that have changed in the game, and you're continually adjusting with the modern concepts of the game. So that's one thing. Number two, the growth of the game in this country and worldwide, and the connectivity now has really changed recruiting, in that it's now even more of an international endeavor. And the information is much more complete than it used to be. You had to get on a plane and go over and watch somebody. I mean, they couldn't really send you film or anything else way back in the day. So the other thing, though, is that there's more teams, more coaches, and so everyone's sort of working the same group of recruits over domestically and internationally. So it's kind of a much bigger pool with much more information and much more intensity in terms of the recruiting and so forth. So from that aspect, those are the big changes, I would say, Rick. Other than that, it's the same ball, it's the same field, it's the same kind of ideas as far as motivating guys. Everything's in that aspect pretty much the same.
Let's go to Mike.
Mark, kind of going back to Rick's earlier question, you seem so at peace with this. I don't know. I don't think I'm surprised, because that's your overall demeanor. But I mean, has it hit you yet? I mean, if I worked a job, I've only been here for 7 years. If I had worked a job for 40 plus, I don't know what I would really do with myself. Is it going to be strange for you?
Oh, well, I think yes. I mean, I think so. I was talking with a guy with the MLS, and I said, I may be doing some things, and I said, on I don't know about weekends. I don't want to tie up on my weekends. And he said, listen, he's like me. He's an older coach with US Soccer, and he does some match evaluation and stuff like that. And he said, listen, every day is a weekend. You're going to, you Monday through Friday, you're off. He goes, you make Saturday Monday. It's not that big a deal. And so people are giving me perspectives on that. There's things I just don't know about yet. I do know that, I'm excited to have an opportunity to do some different things. I know I will be involved with the game, no question about it. And, you know, you never know in coaching what opportunities come to you. You never know what opportunities are going to come in any sense. So I'm just kind of taking it as it comes, and we'll see from there.
Coach, I'll step in again really quick. The championship game that you guys were a part of, one, just what was that experience like, and what did it do for South Carolina men's soccer, the program, and for the whole state here? Because I mean that's a statewide event, and how did that change and impact soccer here?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, that championship was in Charlotte. And I can tell you that when we drove in from the hotel to the field for the game, there was acres and acres of parking, like at the fairgrounds before a football game. And they were all Gamecock fans coming to the game. And I heard later from people and that said, I don't know anything about soccer, but if the Gamecocks are going to win a national championship, I'm going to be there. And so we had a massive following there. It was, you know, it wasn't to be our afternoon, but it was a tight game, a close game. And, you know, it was just a great feeling to be a part of that, you know, championship final.
Let's go to Forrest.
Coach, I've heard a little bit about what Stone Stadium used to look like, used to sound like. I've heard about the bleachers when there was no proper stand, and I've heard about a lot of rowdy alumni over near the old kickboard that's obviously not there anymore. What was Stone Stadium like for you back in the day? I assume, I don't know when that time period was, but I think it was the 90s.
Well, we built a stadium. Mike McGee, after we went to the final, Mike, you know, said, look, we'll build the stadium. I'm going to need you to raise the money. And I raised the money and we built the stadium. And, you know, Jack Stone, South Carolina alum, in honor of his father, was very generous, you know, and gave a gift to build our stadium. Before that time, it was basically bleachers, you know, and a cyclone fence around the field. And it was actually much more intimidating for opponents than it is now. Now it's very sanitary, very nice stadium, nice locker room for everybody. Back then, it was like when you went for a throw, you had to take a throw in, you had to back up through some yellow tape, and there was Gamecock fans all around you. And, you know, I don't think that the current discussion about the baseball fans had anything over those soccer fans back then. They spoke their mind. And so, you know, we had a great atmosphere. We've always had an incredible atmosphere at the Graveyard. And we've always had just a dynamic fan base that's been really excited about our soccer team. And yeah, it's changed over the years. Like I said, it's a lot more nice and sanitized and, you know, professional looking and everything else. But back in the day, man, it was a really, really tough place to play. I can tell you that. And our players will tell you that too. I'm sure there's plenty of stories that I don't even know about. Maybe I don't want to know about. But it was a tough place to play.
Let's go back to John.
What would be the one biggest piece of advice you would give to the next guy who comes in here to coach?
Well, I think the biggest advice I would give, John, to anyone in coaching is to have some mentors in your life. It's really important. And I've been really fortunate in the game of soccer to have guys like Bob Gansler and Nick Zlatar, Walt Chisowitz, guys that were big in the game, and current guys that I talk to a lot. You know, actually, you know, my brother Steve, who played at North Carolina, you know, and is not in soccer, you know, he's a sounding board for a lot of ideas. Because one of the things that happens when you're a head coach, particularly for a long period of time, is you need to be able to speak to people that can give you a frame of reference on things, because it's really easy to get myopic. It's really easy to focus down and only see certain things. And because that's what we do. We're in a really intense, competitive, hard environment. And then sometimes you need to be able to get some outside perspective from your field, whether you're a baseball coach or whatever, or also people off the field. So my advice would be, to any coach, the next coach here or any coaches, to develop in their life some mentors and people that they can rely on to tell them the way that it really is, as they see it. And then over time, I think that's really a helpful thing.
This will be my last question, Lace, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask it. I asked it a little bit the other day, but all through this time, you look up in the stands and your family is right there with you. Your son played here. How wonderful has your family support been here over the years? Because I know they've been right there with us this whole time.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, I mean, my family is my bedrock. My son played here and got his degree in business, and then went back to school, and now he's currently in his second year of dental school down at Medical University of Georgia, and he's got a little baby girl. So we have our first grandchild here in Caroline. My daughter, another South Carolina graduate, and her husband live up in Greenville. So we're happy to have them close. And my wife, Shauna, I mean, we actually met on the soccer field at soccer camp. And so her younger brother was at soccer camp, and she came to pick him up one day. And I was like, who's that over there? And so we actually met on the soccer field at camp. And she's I would not classify Shauna as a sports fan overall, but she is a Gamecock fan. And she is a Gamecock soccer fan, and she's been through all the highs and lows. It's really hard. I mean, I think you can understand when it's your family, how personal it is and how difficult it can be and challenging. And she's done an absolutely unbelievable job. And, obviously, it's been an honor to have her by my side.